Hi children, this is T. Mahalakshmi from Trinity Academy Metric High Secondary School. Today I am going to take Class 8, Unit 3, Geography, Hydrologic Cycle. Learning Objectives. The status of water on the earth. Basic concepts of hydrologic cycle. Different components of hydrologic cycle. Children, you know that water is one of the most important elements on the earth. Human beings, plants and animals cannot survive without water. Water is very essential for carrying out almost all economic activities. Now we can see water on the earth. About 71% of the earth's surface is covered by water. Most of the water on the earth is saline and is found in seas and oceans. Children, saline means salty. The salt water constitutes about 97.2% and the fresh water is only about 2.8%. Out of this 2.8%, about 2.2% is of surface water and 0.6% is of groundwater. The 2.2% of surface water is further divided as glaciers and ice caps, about 2.15%. 0.01% in lakes and streams and 0.04% in other forms. Only about 0.25% of the groundwater can be extracted for the economical purpose. Now we can see hydrologic cycle. The term hydro means water and logy means the study. Hence, the study of water is called hydrology. Availability of water on the earth is not uniform. Some places are very rich and some places are poor in water resources. Hydrologic cycle is a global sun-driven process where water is transported from oceans to atmosphere, from atmosphere to land and from land back to oceans. It is a continuous process. That's why it is called as closed system. It starts from evaporation. Evaporation takes place from the surface water. Transpiration takes place from the plants. Water vapor gets condensed and form clouds. The clouds melt and sometimes burst, resulting in precipitation of different forms. A part of water from precipitation flows over the land is called runoff and other part infiltrates into the soil which builds up the groundwater. There are 6 main components in hydrologic cycle. They are evapotranspiration, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, percolation and runoff. First, we can discuss about evapotranspiration. The total loss of water from the earth through evaporation from the surface water and the transpiration from vegetation. In cropped areas, it is difficult to determine the evaporation and transpiration separately. Hence, it is collectively called as evapotranspiration. The process in which the liquid form of water changes into gaseous form. The water boils at 100-degree temperature, but it actually begins to evaporate at 0 degrees Celsius. Temperature is the prime element which affects the rate of evaporation. The atmosphere gets nearly 90% of moisture from the oceans, seas, lakes and rivers through evaporation and 10% through transpiration. The rate of evaporation is low during the periods of calm winds than during windy times. When the air is calm, evaporated water tends to stay close to the water body. During windy, the water vapor is driven away and is replaced by dry air, which increase evaporation. Let's see transpiration. It refers to the process by which the water content in the plants are released into the atmosphere in the form of water vapor. The rate of transpiration is affected by the temperature, wind and humidity. Next, we can move on to the second component, condensation. It is the process in which the gaseous form converts into liquid form. Condensation is responsible for the formation of clouds. These clouds produce precipitation, which is the primary route for water to return to the Earth's surface. Condensation is the opposite of evaporation. Now we can see the forms of condensation. Dew, frost, fog, mist and clouds are the different forms of condensation. First, dew. It is a water droplets formed by the condensation of water vapor on a relatively cold surface of an object. Frost. The ice crystals formed by deposition of water vapor on a relatively cold surface of an object is known as frost. Fog. Fog is the suspended tiny water droplets or ice crystals in an air layer next to the Earth's surface. Mist. Mist is the tiny droplets of water hanging in the air when it is rapidly cooled. Mist is less dense than fog. Clouds. Clouds consist of tiny water droplets or ice particles which are so small and light in weight. When the size of the water droplets exceeds 100 microns, it becomes raindrops. Next, we can see the third component is precipitation. Precipitation refers to all forms of water that fall from clouds and reaches the Earth's surface. Temperature variation within clouds or between clouds and the Earth allows for the various forms of precipitation. The form of precipitation depends on the kind of weather or the climate of the region. The common types of precipitation are rain, sleet, freezing rain, hail and snow. Next, we can see the third component is precipitation. Precipitation refers to all forms of water that fall from clouds and reaches the Earth's surface. Temperature variation within clouds or between clouds and the Earth allows for the various forms of precipitation. The form of precipitation depends on the kind of weather or the climate of the region. The common types of precipitation are rain, sleet, freezing rain, hail and snow. First, we can see rain. The most common kind of precipitation is rain. The precipitation in the form of water droplets is called rain. Next, sleet. The precipitation which takes place in the form of mixture of water droplets and the tiny particles of ice is known as sleet. Freezing rain. Sometimes raindrops falling through cold air near the ground do not freeze in the air. Instead, The raindrops freeze when they touch a cold surface. This is called freezing rain. Hail. The precipitation, which consists of round pellets of ice which are larger than 5 mm in diameter, is called hail or hailstones. Next, snow. The precipitation in the form of powdery mass of ice is known as snowfall. We can move on to the fourth component, infiltration. Water entering the soil at the surface of the ground is called as infiltration. It allows soil to store water. It is a process where rainwater soaks into ground. Some of the water returns to the surface through springs and some amount of water remains underground called groundwater. The rate of infiltration is influenced by the physical characteristics of soil, vegetative cover, moisture content of the soil, soil temperature and rainfall intensity. Next, we can see the fifth component, percolation. Percolation is the downward movement of infiltrated water through soil and rock layers. Percolation moves the infiltrated water through the soil profile and rock layers, which leads to the formation of groundwater. The percolation process represents the flow of water from unsaturated zone to the saturated zone. Next, we can move on to the sixth component, runoff. Runoff is the water that is pulled by gravity across land surface. It comes from unabsorbed water from rain, snow melt, irrigation or other sources. Runoff is also a major contributor to the erosion. Only about 35% of precipitation ends up in the sea or ocean, and the other 65% is absorbed into the soil. There are three types of runoff. First, we can see surface runoff. The water that flows over the land and is first to reach the streams or rivers which ultimately discharge the water to the sea is called surface runoff. Next, subsurface runoff. The water that has entered the subsoil and moves laterally without joining the water table to the streams, rivers or oceans is known as subsurface runoff. The subsurface runoff is also known as interflow. Next, base flow. It is the flow of underground water from a saturated groundwater zone to a water channel. It usually appears at a downstream location where the channel elevation is lower than the groundwater table. Now we can see a small recap of this lesson. Water is one of the most important elements on earth. All plants and animals need water for survival. About 71% of Earth's surface is covered by water. Out of this, only about 2.8 is fresh water and the remaining 97.2% is salt water found in seas and oceans. Hydrological cycle is a global sun-driven process where water is transported from oceans to atmosphere, from atmosphere to land and from land back to oceans. There are 6 main components in hydrologic cycle. They are evapotranspiration, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, percolation and runoff. The precipitation in the warmer parts of the world is in the form of rain or drizzle. The common types of precipitation includes rain, sleet, freezing rain, hail and snow. Infiltration occurs near the surface of the soil and delivers water from the surface into the soil and plant rooting zone. Percolation moves it through the soil profile and rock layers to form groundwater. Children, hope you all understood the lesson. Thank you.